Welcome back to the deep dive. When you think of Ameyoko, the famous Ameyoko market in Tokyo, what comes to mind is probably just a blur of activity.
Oh, absolutely. That incredible shouting chaos, especially, during the end of year rush.
It's one of Tokyo's most recognized, relentless engines of commerce.
It is the definition of energy. It's a cornerstone of Tokyo's post-war story, and really a required stop if you want to feel the city's pulse.
But today we're going to zoom in, we're getting hyper-local and focusing this entire deep dive on one single structure right at the heart of it all.
The Ameyoko Center Building.
Exactly, the center building. Most people who walk by, they probably just see a slightly dated building from the early 80s, right? Maybe they think of discount sneakers.
Or tourist trinkets, yeah. But what our sources show is that this building is, well, it's basically an architectural time machine. It holds two completely distinct worlds.
Okay, so what are they?
On one hand, it's the concrete symbol of Ameyoko's past. And on the other, deep beneath the surface, it's this intense cultural portal. Some people even call it Japan's most Asian spot.
That's the core tension we're exploring. This building, stands on some of the most historically significant land in post-war Tokyo.
We have to understand its origins, tracing it from a black market all the way to this stable commercial building. And then
we go downstairs.
Then we're taking a trip deep downstairs to a food market that's, frankly, a global pantry and surprisingly shocking.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with how this building even came to be, it's impossible to get it without first understanding that post-war desperation.
Right. You have to imagine Tokyo right after 1945. The government had strict control over distribution, so essential goods just vanished from legal shops.
Which led to the explosion of the yamichi.
The black markets, exactly. They popped up everywhere. And Ameyoko was one of the biggest and, importantly, one of the last to be normalized.
And the market's name, its name alone tells that whole story, doesn't it?
It really does. It's got that famous dual etymology.
So you have Ameyoko.
Candy shop alley, right?
Yeah.
Sweets were basically non-existent, so Chinese returnees started selling these simple candies like Imo Aim sweet potato candy. It was pure resourcefulness.
And at the same time, you have the other meaning.
America Yokocho.
Sure.
America Alley.
Because it was flooded with surplus goods from the U.S. military and GHQ.
Everything. K-rations, cigarettes, nylon stockings. All probably illicitly diverted. It was a chaotic free-for-all.
So where does the center building fit into this picture?
It stands on what was called a triangular area, just west of the tracks. This was ground zero for the first real attempt to formalize the chaos.
By a man named Kondo Kokichi, I believe?
That's him, a local businessman. He set up the condo market there in November 1947. The plan was to house about 80 shops, bring some order.
But that effort toward normalcy was, well, it was immediately tested.
Oh, it was. The sources are clear on this. In 1949, a huge fire just ripped through the market.
The whole thing.
The entire area was incinerated, gone. Yeah. And this is where you see what sources call the weeds-like energy of Ameyoko. What came next was this incredibly complex three-way legal dispute.
Between who?
The Tokyo government, the legal landlords, and the tenants who just lost everything. Because legally, a lot of these structures were still technically illegal.
So the city was in a tough spot.
A huge dilemma. Post-war Tokyo needed economic revival way more than it needed strict land use regulations.
So they sort of looked the other way.
Essentially, yeah. They offered this tacit agreement, rebuild, but this time, try to incorporate some basic fire safety. The sheer will of those merchants to just resurrect their businesses was the defining spirit of the place.
Survival over paperwork.
Absolutely.
So the center building isn't just on a plot of land, it's built on that memory of resilience.
Right. And it wasn't until the late 70s that the merchants finally got together to plan a truly modern, permanent structure.
And that became the Ameyoko Center Building.
A massive milestone. It was a definitive break from the black market past. You had 108 businesses jointly establish it. Finally, in February 1982, the steel-reinforced concrete building we see today opened.
Modernization literally cemented in place.
Exactly.
But when you step inside today, that history feels a little quiet.
It is jarring. You go into the upper floors, and it's like a time capsule. The main street is pure energy, but up there, where they sell clothes and shoes, it's surprisingly quiet.
You really notice the age, don't you?
You do. The 1982 elevator, the stained glass style doors, it all has this distinct kind of melancholic retro feel.
It's the calm before the storm. It feels like all that energy from the 40s and 50s didn't disappear. It just got squeezed down into one spot.
And that concentration starts the moment you stop looking up. and start looking down.
Okay, let's do it. Let's dive down.
Down to the B1F, the underground food market. This is where historical, stable Japan ends and that global, chaotic energy just erupts again. The shift is instant and physical.
It's sensory before it's anything else, I understand.
Completely. The second you start down those stairs, you are hit by this potent, unique smell.
What kind of smell?
For someone new, sources say it's like a bustling market in Bangkok. Right. For locals, they compare it to kusaya, that fermented fish smell, but, magnified by 10 and mixed with spices.
And it's not just the smell. The sounds change completely.
The linguistic shift is immediate. You're not hearing Japanese anymore. It's a wall of Chinese dialects, Vietnamese, Thai.
So you've truly stepped into a different world.
You really have. It exists in Tokyo, but culturally it feels like somewhere else entirely. That's why people call it a masakutsu, a demon's den, a place where the normal rules just don't feel like they apply.
That's an incredible description. It sounds less like a shop and more like a genuine cultural hub for different communities in Tokyo.
That's exactly what it is. It is the critical pantry supplying restaurants and home cooks with essentials from all over Asia. China, Korea, Thailand, Vietnam. The list goes on.
So let's talk about those essentials, because this is where it gets really interesting. These are ingredients you would never, ever see in a normal Japanese supermarket.
Let's start with Thai food. You have shops like Arai Shoten. They sell the holy trinity of Thai flavor lemongrass, kaffir lime leaves, and galangal.
But the key is that they're fresh.
We're fresh and raw. And that makes all the difference. The dried versions just don't have the same aromatic oils. To make real tom yum, you need this stuff fresh.
And they sell them in huge bags for cheap, something like 300 yen.
Astonishingly cheap. But that does raise a question, who is the audience for a giant bag of fresh galangal?
That's a great point. It's not for the casual cook.
No. This place is for people who cook this cuisine constantly, or for professional chefs. The cost is low because the turnover within that very specific community is incredibly high.
It's a specialized ecosystem.
Exactly. And that specificity continues with spices. You go to a place like Nozawaya, and for a chili fanatic, it's a pilgrimage site. They stock things that are way beyond your standard chugarashi. We're talking Thai super hot powder, the famous Chinese Chorten Rajio habanero, even the jolokia.
That's nuts. You could start a professional Sichuan kitchen just from what's in that basement.
And they have the tools.
Yeah.
Heavy stone mortars for making Thai curry pastes from scratch. It's the whole package.
Okay, let's get even more specific. What about Chinese ingredients?
Well, you can find the truly essential Pai Jian de Bansheng.
Now, explain why that particular chili bean paste is such a big deal.
Because it's the absolute backbone of real Sichuan cooking. This is the 3-year aged version that chefs swear by. It doesn't have the additives or thickeners you find in supermarket brands. It's just pure, deep fermented umami and clean heat.
It's the difference between a stock cube and a real homemade stock.
A perfect analogy. And of course, they have the fun stuff like Masan's chili oil, the original eating chili oil. It's addictive and it's cheap.
This all confirms that the market is about authenticity and depth. But if the herbs were a cultural leap, the next section is a whole different level.
This is where we see the profound chasm between standard Japanese food culture and the no-waste philosophy of Chinese and other Asian traditions. We have to talk about the meat.
Specifically, the offal at the kaiwa shop.
The contrast is just shocking.
Yeah.
It perfectly illustrates that 4,000-year-old culture where every single part of an animal is used.
Which is so different from the neat, standardized cuts in a typical Tokyo grocery store. You mentioned pig's lung.
Yes. And it's just there out in the open. You'll see pig's nose, too, presented very realistically. It's used for its chewy, collagenous texture, a lot like Okinawan mimigar.
And the lung, what is that like?
It's called fuwa. It has a pretty neutral taste, but the texture is strange, elastic, like a cross between jelly and a very resilient hampen. It's all about adding body to soups and stir-fries.
A texture most of us wouldn't be familiar with at all.
Not at all. And you see whole hearts, different types of stomach lining like gatsu and senmai for hot pots, and even teppo, which is literally the rectum. And then you see whole duck heads, piles of chicken feet, and these mysterious cuts with names like gushinkan, the cow's heart tube. It's a culinary anatomy lesson.
And the exotic shelf just takes it even further.
Oh, yeah. You got yashe duck tongue. You have jars of chodofu, stinky tofu. The smell alone tells you you're not in Kansas anymore.
And somewhere down there, they even have things like balut and frog meat.
They do. And then, in this weird fusion of ancient and modern, there's the final surprise.
The vending machine.
A brightly colored, futuristic-looking vending machine dedicated entirely to insect food.
You have 4,000-year-old culinary traditions right next to the newest global protein trend. That is an amazing juxtaposition.
It's a cultural world map, all packed into one basement floor. The Ameyoko Center Building, the YOTEP, is so much more than just a 1982 landmark.
It's a living museum.
It really is, a testament to that post-war ingenuity, and now this incredibly concentrated portal to global food traditions that are all operating just beneath the surface of mainstream Tokyo.
So, what does this all mean for us? It means one single, slightly dated building can hold decades of history. It traces that whole journey from desperate black market sales to this highly specific global food hub.
It's a microcosm of Tokyo's relentless, adaptable, and surprisingly global energy. This building proves that the most profound cultural connections, they aren't always in glossy international centers.
Sometimes they're hidden right under our feet.
Exactly, proving that resilience and diversity can literally grow from the ashes.
You've heard about the unique smells, the unusual sights, and the truly global atmosphere of the center building's basement. A place where you are instantly transported continents away, no passport needed. If a single local building can hold this much cultural tension and sensory shock, what other everyday familiar places in your own city are hiding a profound, intense sensory experience that you haven't dared to explore? Go find the hidden layer beneath your city's surface.